Hey guys, so I'm going to do a really quick video here, nothing fancy at all on this cool and windy spring day, but really about everything you need to know about planting potatoes in back to Eden gardening methods, lasagna gardening method, any kind of mulching method, which I really highly recommend, guys. Like, I've benefited so much off this method, and planting potatoes in deep mulch is definitely no exception. Potatoes love all that wood product, that light, fluffy, humic-rich, porous soil that carbon-rich mulch really gives out, and it releases nitrogen to the plants later on anyway. Potatoes love mulch. And so with this type of method, planting potatoes is so straightforward and really simple. What I have right here is an 8x4 gardening bed, mulched back to Eden style, and I made 3 rows. The reason why it cuts in these rows here is because I want to respect these French sorrel plants that I love a lot. So I'm just kind of skipping over there, but 3 rows, about 1.5 feet apart, barely that. Typically, you really do want to go a little bit more than that with potato planting, but I do find that in Colorado, at least, if I hill it, which I'll get to in a second, if I hill the mulch as they grow, they can be a little closer together than usual because they end up with more vertical space to put out those tubers in. Within these 3 rows, I created little divots, little holes that I'm gonna place my little potato starts in, and these are about 1 foot apart. And once again, I am kind of stretching it a little bit. I wanna grow a lot of potatoes. Typically, you wanna go to at least 1 foot apart, maybe 1.5 feet apart. Most typical farming sources will say something like 1.5 feet apart, but 2 to 3 feet in row spacing. This, I find, even though I'm really on the line here, it should work just fine. By the way, I made these rows very quickly with a bow rake, or soil rake as they might call it, kind of in the style of these as well. I'm planting other things here. It's the same idea, back to Eden, Paul Gauchi style, make it really simple so you can kind of just split apart that mulch, expose the soil underneath, and you have yourself a very quick row. Also, planting should happen, I'd say a couple of weeks before last frost. With this method, I tend to be able to do a month before, and it's absolutely fine. Again, because of all the benefits of the mulch. Another benefit here is that it protects the soil underneath from swaying in temperature too quickly and getting too cold or too warm. Here are my potato starts. Now, these are actually all from the store, from varieties that we've collected in the past few months that we've really enjoyed. You will find a lot of people saying that you should not use potato starts from the store. I think that's actually nonsense. If you buy potatoes from the store and they are putting out eyes just like this, showing that they will grow, and you've enjoyed that potato, then absolutely plant that type. I would agree that if you buy potato slips, potato starts specific from nurseries and from seed starting companies, you will be able to venture out into some pretty amazing varieties. But again, if you're going to your store and you enjoy the potatoes that you're eating, and some of these potatoes are sending out eyes, you are so welcome to use those potatoes. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people like to cut these up into smaller slips, smaller starts. So for instance, this here, you can see 3 different areas where it can grow. See that one little eye, the really big one in the middle, and that other one right there. You can technically start 3 different plants from this, but I do like to usually just cut them in half, or if it's a pretty substantial potato, cut it in thirds depending on the eyes. But I do like to give my potatoes a pretty good start with a good amount of this starchy root for them to have that stored up energy to start. This is especially speaking in my harsh climate of Colorado, though. There really are a lot of elements, harsh elements, that these potatoes need to face. If you have just absolutely beautiful soil and a peaceful environment without that much that you feel that potatoes have to contend with, you can certainly and very successfully cut for yourself a start from each and every individual eye. So planting is really easy. We're going to place each start with the eye facing upwards, or if you have multiple eyes, then the more eyes that face upwards, the better. So we're going to place these into each hole, and we're going to just go ahead and cover them with the soil and then the mulch on top. And in time, when these potatoes begin to emerge and grow into a little bit more substantial of a plant, they have enough stem to work with, what we do is we hill our potatoes so that they begin to shoot potatoes off of the sides. And in this way, you're growing more potato roots, more potatoes themselves than foliage. It's a great way to get more out of each plant. Now, I recommend for hilling, and seriously, if you get nothing else out of this video, this methodology is going to help you so much in building soil all over your garden. But basically, you will continue to mulch. And the thing is, as the mulch breaks down, you want to actually provide layers and layers of mulch in different forms, if you can at all. In other words, you're actually building soil around your potato plants. And the best way to quickly do that in this synergistic, beautiful way is to alternate your layers between what we call greens and browns. Greens just being nitrogen-rich material like manure, but grass clippings, very easy to do that. Green leaves, green matter really, that's rich. And browns being wood mulch like this mulch, forest mulch, dried brown leaves, even some dried out straw. So if you could apply these things in layers as the potato plants get larger and larger, that is going to break down very quickly into soil around your potato plants. So side note, you can transform any land into beautiful soil by using that method right there. So that's really about it with this methodology as described. You do not have to fertilize at all, because this type of gardening method employs beautiful soil. It creates beautiful soil around your plants, and it'll continue to break down and feed your plants for the duration of its life. You can keep them pretty well watered, but you really don't have to water that often. Just make sure that the soil underneath the top layer of mulch is relatively moist. But again, one of the many benefits of mulching as well like this is it keeps that moisture in beautifully, and it keeps that soil around your potato plants just perfectly conditioned. At the end of the season, when your potato plants are looking pretty tired, pretty dry, towards the end of the summer, you can go ahead and start digging up those potatoes. Again, because of the mulch and the softness of soil that the mulch promotes, it'll be very easy to dig them up, especially with the hilling vertical space created. It should be not much labor to dig up your potato plants at all. And I find them to be healthier when they're in the ground, making contact with earth, as opposed to in containers. This way is just a bit more unlimited to me. As with other plants, when you dig your potatoes up, if certain varieties are more enjoyable to you or just perform better, well, those are the ones that you can totally save for next year. So I hope this quick and rough video gave you a good outline of exactly what you want to do with growing potatoes, especially in beautiful mulch. And until next time.